Welcome to a new video on my home automation series. By looking at the picture you might think that I'm just going to do another video of this Beca thermostat, and you are partially correct because, well, this is another Beca thermostat, but it's not the same as the other ones that I reviewed before, which has the Modbus interface, because I have actually gone and bought myself the Wi-Fi version because, well, many of you pointed out that they also sell a Wi-Fi version, which I knew about, but well, I was just playing around with the old Modbus version. So this is the Beca Wi-Fi boiler thermostat, and in this video I'm going to show you how it works, and especially how the companion app works with this one. And in summary, I was quite excited about this product. I mean, I knew that physically it's going to be fine because, well, they are just basically using the same shell and they are enabling it for Wi-Fi. And I think this is still a great product. I mean, it's a, you know, it's a good-looking thermostat, and it does what a thermostat needs to do. But just like with many other Chinese products, I think they are, you know, quite good in terms of the, you know, the physical execution. They, you know, I mean, this might not be the latest modern design like a Nest, but I think it's still, you know, it looks quite decent. It's nice materials, and the whole finish, you know, the construction is, you know, it's very decent. It's quite nice. But unfortunately, there are some letdowns on the software side. And, well, this is something that we see with many Chinese products is, you know, they are quite good at, you know, doing the manufacturing, but then when it comes to about, you know, designing app and thinking about how people are going to use it, well, yeah, it's just not perfect. But I think if you choose to buy this product, you will get a very nice thermostat which you can control over the internet. When the product arrives, it comes in this box, and in the box you are obviously getting the thermostat. I already attached some wires to it so I can do some testing. And besides these, you are getting this quality certificate sticker, and you are getting a couple of screws, and you also have a quick instruction manual, which is two-sided. So on the first page you are getting the general description of the product, like the different variants and also the physical layout and some of the specs. And just like as you can find on the website, there are a few different models available. So there are different models if you have a system where you have fan coils and you need to control the fan coils, or if your heating is an actual load, like I don't know, for example, an electric heater, or if you need a simple relay dry contact, which would be the most typical installation in Europe, where you would have a boiler, let's say a gas boiler, that you need to turn on and off, and that's usually done with a dry contact. Also talks about the installation a little bit. You have some details on the screen and some of the main features and the settings. And on the other side, it's all about the companion app. And we have a few different choices here because there is a specific app for this thermostat. So if you only want to use the thermostat, you can download that app. Or this also supports Smart Life and Tuya. And because I made my choice to use the Tuya app, I'm going to test it within the Tuya app. So he goes through about how you pair the device and how you register it in the Tuya app, and then some of the basic settings. And just a reminder, there are quite a few different variants available. So I choose the white version and the heating type and the dry contact and Wi-Fi. And as I said, it looks and feels the same as the Modbus version. So this is the Modbus version which we have seen previously with my Modbus Wi-Fi adapter that I have featured in a previous video. So I'm just going to put this to the side and let's talk about this one. Even the construction is same as the other models. So if you twist the top bezel or the front, then it comes off, and then you can also unclip this ribbon cable if you want. So that's basically just the UI and the screen controls, and then some of the internals are here. And the reason you want to remove this, because then you have access to the screws. So you are just going to put this into the wall socket, you're going to screw it in here, and then you can mount the front face back and That's how it's going to look at the end. So here you're getting some sort of face plate which has this wavy shiny plastic. I think it's quite good. And then on the top bezel, let me just remove this. Oops. You have the screen and then the buttons. So the obvious difference that I see between this model and the Modbus model is that it has different buttons, but that's mainly because this is a dried contact version, while the other one was a fan coil version, so that has a button for the fan coil speed, where this doesn't have that, so it has like a timer button instead. And on the back we see that again the connections are fairly simple. Basically all we need here is 4 different contacts. So on contact number 3 and 4 we have the mains power going in, so 95 volt to 240 volts, so the same model works in all geographies. And in contact 1 or 2 we have the dry contact, so that goes to the boiler to turn the boiler on. There is also another contact for an external temperature sensor, which I don't have. And by the way, probably they are using the same plastic shaft for the Modbus version, which is plugged in this model. So let me plug this in so we can see what happens when the unit starts up. If you have seen my previous video, then you will notice that the screen is also same as the before. So we have the big dial in the middle, which shows the current temperature. And we have some numbers on the top for the days of the week. Also we have a clock at the bottom and some of the other features. So for example, this is now turned to program mode, which says that it's running program number 6, and the clock shows that it's in program mode. And I guess we have to wait just a little for it to connect to the internet and then refresh the time and date. I'm not going to bore you with the setup process because it's clearly documented in the small leaflet. Basically, you just need to hold down the down button for 8 seconds, and then after 8 seconds you will have a Wi-Fi icon appearing. So once you have that, you just do the normal pairing process in the Tuya app, and finally you will have the app the device registered in the app. And interestingly, there are 2 different modes for this one. So you use the Wi-Fi icon to activate the Wi-Fi mode, but again, if you hold it down for another 8 seconds, so that's the normal Wi-Fi icon, and if you hold it down for another 8 seconds, then it switches to this leaf icon with in a circle, and that leaf icon is an access point mode, so it can work as an access point if you don't have a Wi-Fi. I'm not sure why is the need for that, but yeah, you just use the Wi-Fi icon and register the app. Let me go into the Tuya app now. As you can see, I have the thermostat added to my app. Well, I just called it Beca. And here, the only thing you can do here is you can turn it off or turn it on. And just like with the Modbus version, if you turn off, that basically means that the thermostat turns off. So it's not the screen turning off. And by the way, we can see that now it's showing the correct time. So that's 10:51, and it is showing 5 on the top, which is Friday. So Monday is 1 and Sunday is 7, and there is no way of changing that, so that could be a little bit confusing for US viewers. Going back to the app and clicking on the icon takes us into the details screen. You have this background of a living room. You have the main dial where you can set the set temperature, so I can just touch this circle and then move the set temperature around, and you can see that the screen on the unit also changes for a bit to show that the set temperature has changed. And also you could hear the relay has clicked, so it has gone off. So my set temperature is below the ambient temperature, so obviously the relay is off. And if I increase it and just wait for a second, then now you can see that the relay is on, and actually I have this icon, this wavy icon, which actually shows that the heating is now on. So fairly simple. You have the room temperature here, you have the room temperature here in the middle, which says 22.5. And then next to it there is another temperature, so that would be the temperature of the external temperature sensor. So again, the idea here is that maybe you have a floor heating I don't know, even electrical or water heating. So you can have another temperature sensor actually measuring the temperature of that, and that if that exceeds a certain temperature, then it automatically shuts off, so some sort of protection. So if you would have the external sensor, that would show up there. Other than the main controls, we have a main on-off button at the bottom, so you can turn the whole unit off, as I said, and probably you could hear that once you turn it off, the relay goes off, so the heating goes off, and then the whole screen changes to this darker background, and all the controls are disabled now. So if I turn it back on, the screen also comes back on. And let me just go through the simplest features. So we have a lock icon, which you can lock the screen, so you can decide that whoever is in that room is not allowed to change the temperature. So that could be not good if your kids want to mess around with the room temperature. The next one, this leaf icon, is a feature which says that, it's basically energy saving mode, which automatically sets the set temperature to 20 degrees. So in the configuration, you can change this economy mode temperature. And so that's basically just a set temperature that you put on. And the rest of the two buttons are the main control buttons. So at the moment, it's showing that I have selected this hand mode, which means manual mode. So that's the mode where I am allowed to make changes to the set temperature. So I just showed you how you can change it on the screen. In fact, anywhere you click on the screen, well, basically if I'm clicking this empty space here now, in between the wheel and the on-off button, that also activates the temperature setting. And also, of course, you can come here and then make changes here as well. The only reason I can't go up, because you can set, oh no, I can go up. And then also in the settings, you can set the maximum and the minimum temperature that you allow the user to set. Let me just go back to, and as you can see, as I'm changing it on the device, it automatically changes in the app. It's pretty fast, and there is not a lot of delay. And now I've gone below the room temperature, so the relay should go off. And it does now. So that's the manual mode. You can change the temperature to anything between the thresholds you like. The next one is this P, which is going to be the program mode, where you have schedules. And what you see here on the screen now is that hand changes to the this clock icon, and also we have another icon in the top corner. You can program 6 different time periods. So if I click on schedule settings, which appear now, you can see that I am able to create a schedule, and the schedule is fixed. Fixed means that you have 3 groups, so you can have a schedule for workdays, that's basically Monday to Friday, and you can have a different schedule for Saturday, and also you can have a different schedule for Sunday. And within each of these groups, you have 6 different settings that you can change. So basically 1, 2, 3, 1 would be like when you wake up, 2 is when you leave home, 3 is when you return home during midday, let's say for lunch, 4 is when you leave home again after lunch, 5 is when you finally arrive home from work, let's say, and 6 when you go to bed. So obviously the default you can see the default settings here. So when you get up, you want a higher temperature, and as soon as you leave home, the system would just reduce the temperature. And then again, when you come home, it rises again, and when you go to bed, it goes back to some lower temperature again. Each of them is assigned to a time and also a temperature, and you can change both of them. So it doesn't have to be 6 o'clock. You can have, basically any hour and minute in the schedule, which means that if for some reason you don't want this change in the middle of the day between 11:30 and 3:30, you can move it in the afternoon, and then you can have 2 different temperature settings in the afternoon. So you can just click on any of them, change them, change it to 6:05, and let's say 16 degrees, and then so now it changes. So my second point, or second set point in the program, is now going to be 8, sorry, not 6, so sorry, 806 and 16 degrees. So at 806, the thermostat is going to change to 16 degrees, and it's going to remain 16 degrees until the next set point, which is, in this case, is 11:30, when it's going to reduce to 15 degrees. And you get the visual confirmation back on the screen which settings the unit is in at the moment. So you make your changes in all the three groups, and then that's basically it. And then you go back. So the one thing is, and then the reason there is a confirmation here, because when you save those changes are actually sent down to the device. And I think this is the great feature of this unit, because this thermostat, this Wi-Fi thermostat, is just a derivation from their existing manual or Modbus thermostat. So all the logic and the controlling and everything, it actually is in this unit. So when you change your schedules, those schedules will come down here. And the reason I like this one, because if you lose internet connection, this unit will still operate as it operates when you have internet connection. So it will remember the schedules, because that's stored locally, and it will apply the temperature changes based on what you have set. So if you only have internet connection when you want to make the changes, it's fine, because then it's just going to work. Let's say you have a different app where you would set up different rules to control the temperature. So those rules might only reside on the cloud server. So if you don't have internet connections, those rules would not apply. But in this case, it would definitely work every time. And if you lose internet connection completely, it will still function as a thermostat. And in fact, you have all the buttons here to make the changes here. So as you can see, we have the clock icon, and if I click, I can manually set the date, sorry, the hour. That's the minute. And if I click again, that's the hour, and then the day of the week. And now we are into settings. So this is you see, Monday to Friday. Oops. Okay, let me go back. So Monday to Friday, the minute and the hour and the temperature. And that's the next one, set point 2. As you can see, 806 and 16 degrees. So this is what I have changed on the UI already. So you can make all the changes here on the screen as well, if you don't want to pick up your mobile. So it works as a normal regular thermostat if you don't connect it to the Wi-Fi. That's it. This is what you get. As you can see, there's no other buttons on the screen. If you go into the device details, then you only get the usual suspects. You can change the device name, change the device location, like which room it is in, network settings, share the device, device information. Actually, I think it's good to keep an eye on the signal strength, well, after you install it, just to make sure that it has decent Wi-Fi connection. So I guess anything below 80 dBm, that would be borderline connection. And you can also check the firmware version. So this is the firmware I'm running at the moment. It's good, right? I mean, it does what it's supposed to do. So let me talk about some of the things that I don't like about this device. In this Leaf energy saving mode, you can't change the temperature here, which I think it's fine. I mean, you activated that mode, that's the temperature that you set, so it's, you have to deal with that. But now, as you can see, I'm in program mode, and well, first of all, it says program mode. I mean, that's selected up here, but I can still make the temperature changes. And it just doesn't make sense. I mean, I don't know why they have allowed that. And as you can see on the screen, it says it's set to 16. So whatever I change here, it just remains 16 because that's what the programming said. And when I change it back to manual, then, that setting that I put in the programming mode takes over. I don't know, maybe it makes sense, but it would make more sense for me if if when I'm in programming mode, the wheel would just lock down and wouldn't allow me to change anything. In fact, it would be much better if this wheel would lock down, or maybe not even show the wheel, and in the middle just show the temperature that the programming is setting it to. Because at the moment there is no way of telling on the app that, what is my set temperature. I mean, I know that it's not 25.5 because it's running a program, but, yeah, you can't see the 16 here. If you come to the unit and if you press up and down, trying to set the temperature, well, it would going to show you that it's 16. So yeah, I think that's a little bit misleading. Of course, I think the temperature readouts here in the middle could be bigger as well, because there is quite a bit of real estate on the screen. But yeah, this is how they decided. These are my reservations about the user interface. And the other thing is that, of course, one of the once I go through the manual settings, I usually like to check the automation options. And for the time being, let's just stick with the built-in automation. So if I want to create a new automation here, then well, the first thing I check how I can use this device. So if I come here, the temperature, just keep in mind that these temperature, humidity, weather, those readings are not actual physical readings, but they are coming from internet services. But if you want to use the actual device, you have to select device in the list, and then you select the device. So I'm selecting Beca, and now you can see all the different options that you can trigger an automation based on this device, which is basically just power. I mean, I think that's pretty useless, but hey, you might find a use case for that. And then the lock, which, yeah, whatever. And then finally the mode, so which is fine because it includes manual or program, but it doesn't include the energy saving mode. I'm not sure why. So you can do something if somebody changes the programming on this device, but what would you use it for? And you can't trigger on temperature. So I mean, you might not want to trigger on temperature because the unit does everything in what it wants, but maybe you want to use this. I mean, if let's say your temperature drops below 10 degrees when you are out, you might want to send yourself a notification, just to let you know that it's getting really cold at home, and maybe you want to turn on your heating, even not just when you get home, but maybe a couple of days before that, because it's going to take some time to heat up your house. So yeah, I don't really like that. So I think that's something that they could have added, definitely the temperature at least, and also the energy saving mode. And it is pretty much the same when it comes to the carry out function, so the second part of an automation. So this is what you can do with the device in an automation. So again, I'm selecting the device, and you're getting pretty much the same function. So you can turn it off, you can change the mode, and again, you can only change between program and manual, and then you can do the lock. So, I mean, fine, I don't think they are especially useful. I would think that if you could set the energy saving mode, that would be quite useful, because then you can set up an automation to say that when I leave the house, go to energy saving mode, and when I come back, or let's say when I'm 500 meters within my house, then turn it back to let's say normal mode, which would have a set temperature that you want to use, or maybe go back to program mode. But with this one, you can't really do that. You can switch back to manual, and then you have to remember to set the manual temperature to something that would be like, let's say, an away temperature. But yeah, that's not the same thing. These would be my reservations about how they managed to deal with the software side of the things. And I also want to quickly mention some of the system, let's say, system settings or settings of this device. So if you turn it off and you press, I just have to cheat, yeah. So you press the mode and the clock button. So then it goes into settings, and you have 14 different settings, and you can, oh, okay, it timed out. Come on. And then you can change between them by pressing the mode button, and this is setting number 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, and it goes all the way to C. And all of them has some values that you can change using the up and down arrows. And these are actually quite useful settings, so you can see in the documentation here. So for example, number one, you can adjust the temperature compensation. So if you feel that the internal temperature sensor is a little bit off, you can just modify it by between -7 and +9 Celsius. Oh, by the way, I haven't seen a function to turn it to Fahrenheit, so that's yeah, one more sign that it was specifically designed to the non-US market. You can also set dead zones, and yeah, you can set the sensor type, whether it should only use the internal or the external or both of them. Here you can set the minimum set and maximum set temperature, and also you have a low temperature and a high temperature protection. And then the economy temperature is B, and also you have a C function, which is the standby brightness. So that's actually quite nice. So you can turn it down if you think that it's too bright in the night. So this is what you get in the device settings, and these are the settings that you can only change on the device, not through the app. Since my Tuya account is linked to my Google Home, which I showed in the previous video, this device can be controlled by Google Home as well. And I have changed to manual mode. So as you can see that we have a set temperature of 18 degrees at the moment, but I can ask Google to change that. Hey Google, set Beca to 20 degrees.
Sure, setting the Beca to 20 degrees.
Okay, so as you can see, it works. I don't think that you would have the voice options to change to programming mode and that sort of stuff. But yeah, in manual mode, you can set the set temperature, or you can probably turn it on and off, and you know, standard traits, nothing special about that. When I've gone into the system settings, you might have also noticed that it supports IFTTT. So let's see how that works. And I don't think it's going to be, you know, very great, because well, we have seen how the automation works. So if I go to my IFTTT screen, and if I try to set up a new thing, or a new, recipe, then let's just look at what we can trigger on. So the first thing is that within IFTTT, the Tuya appears as a smart life. So I select smart life, I did the pairing already. And you can create a trigger based on a device is turned on and off. So again, if somebody presses the on or an off button, which I don't think it's really useful. And then all the other triggers is, you know, unlock, motion detection, incorrect password is not something that this device would support. So there is nothing here on temperature either. So you can't use IFTTT to do something based on temperature, which is, I mean, it's, not great. The other thing is we can see also what IFTTT supports on the action side, or what this supports on the action side. So I've created something already where, let's say I want to use a button as an input, just to keep it simple. And again, let's see what we can control on the other side. Smart Life. So we can turn on and off, and we can activate a scene, and we can set brightness, color, start cool mode, heat mode, and then the AC temperature and oscillation. So on off is, well, obviously you can turn the device on and off. As I said, I don't think it's particularly useful. What about temperatures? Well, no, it's not going to work, because it is probably only works for AC types, and this is not an AC type. So yeah, but I think, you know, this would be a good option for the thermostat. So, you know, that would be an external trigger to change the temperature. And change to cool mode. Again, yeah, you have no option. So I don't have a device that would support this function. So, so I see some, you know, options here where it could be extended, or it could be used for, but it's not supported at the moment. I'm not sure if this is something that they can add in the future. So on-off works, and I've already created a scene for that, and I've created this button. So if I click, then you will see that soon after the device turns off. Yeah, there is a little bit of delay, but yeah, I don't think anyone really cares in the thermostat if something is executed in 10 seconds or in 5 seconds. So the on-off works. So the IFTTT integration works, but it's not particularly useful. I'm pretty sure that somebody is going to complain if I don't take this apart. So, well, I just did that. So you remove the front, that's the front bezel. So there is a large printed circuit board here, and then once you have done that, then the part from here also just pops out. So this is all self-contained, and well, I'm not really an electronics expert, but I think this is only basically power supply and the relay. So there are no electronic components here. So this is all, you know, power conversion and probably generating the 3.3 volts and the 5 volts for the different components. And all you see here is, you know, caps and diodes and the relay. And also there is a place for a second relay. So I think that would be the fan coil version where you have 2 relays for heating and cooling. And other than that, it's just connections, nothing else. And this ribbon cable goes up to the top, and originally I assumed that this is only for the display, but it looks like it's the, you know, the entire brains of the operations are here. So they have, well, we have 2 chips here. I don't see the numbers. Maybe you can see the numbers from here. But so I'm guessing one controls the LCD, the other one probably the main logic chip, and we have in a Tuya module which is soldered onto this one. So this is just basically an ASP8266 clone, I think, or well, ASP8266 variant. And as you can see, it only has 6 pins soldered to the main logic board. So that would most probably power and some sort of communication. So as I expected, because I'm pretty sure that they are using the same logic board in all their different models, and basically the ESP chip here, it just only deals with the communication. So it just probably talks to the main chip and then just relays that information to Wi-Fi. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Everything is the same on all the different Beca models. That was my review of the Beca Wi-Fi thermostat. I'm going to put purchasing links to the various Amazon stores in the video description if you want to buy the very same product. If you are interested in some of my other content, you can see the boxes appearing on the screen now, and I've also placed a link here for my previous video in which I explained how I modified the Modbus version and how I added my own Modbus and MQTT interface to the same or very similar Beca thermostat. And you can also click on my lovely face if you want to subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching, and hopefully see you in the next video.